This is in the top 10 of movies of this century, right?
Yeah. We never switch perspectives. I think it's such a unique decision.
It's fun filmmaking. It's fun to watch this.
Yes. This is a very different hope than Hunger Games is.
Alfonso Cuarón talks about he wanted to make the anti-Blade Runner.
You will never, ever feel a sense of hope, of love, of purpose than holding a child.
Get exposition of the world, and then we get to find a fun joke of like, I don't know what's causing this, but this stork is delicious. Welcome back to another episode of Real Chumps. We're chatting about movies, feels like hanging out with friends. I'm your host, Marcel, and with me as always is my co-host, Danny.
This week, we are continuing our month of dystopian films with Children of Men. Directed by Alfonso Cuarón, written by Alfonso Cuarón, Timothy J. Sexton, David Arata, Mark Fergus, and Hawk Ostby, and based on the novel by P.D. James. The film stars Clive Owen, Julianne Moore, Claire Hope Ashite, Michael Caine, and many more.
Before we roll the intro, quick reminder, if you're not watching on YouTube, make sure you head over there and subscribe. It's the best way to support the show. It helps more movie fans find us, and it lets you, listener, join the conversation in the comments and community posts.
With that being said,
let's roll the intro.
Bro, we are back.
We were never gone.
Never.
This episode's a little bit late.
Yes, we had some things we couldn't line up right before, which is fine. We're still here. Listen, I don't know if I have a question of the day. Actually, I do, but it's not related to this, and I think it's more its own video.
Stay tuned for that one. Look, I'm excited to talk about this.
I'm very excited to talk about this.
We put this up on a poll.
Yes.
And I was worried that our listeners were not going to vote for this.
Yeah.
Because it was this versus...
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Some obscure ones, honestly. I was like, it's okay.
But anyway, you, our listeners, came through and you voted for Children of Men. And I'm so glad that we voted for this.
Yes. Listen, as always, we kind of talk about like what our relationship is to this film. I thought I'd never seen this film, but that's a lie. I have seen this film.
Okay.
It has been years.
Okay.
I don't remember the first time I watched it, but I 100% know that I've watched the like reruns went on like whatever they syndicated this on.
I never saw this on TV.
I think I've only seen it on TV and in parts. So like that was...
So would this be this recent viewing was like full on first from
I think
start to finish?
It's probably like a second viewing, but I'm gonna call it a first viewing.
Sure.
But I have seen this in its entirety at least 2-3 other times.
Yeah.
In any case, I'm very excited to talk about this film.
Mm-hmm. So this came out in 2006. I did not see it when it came out. And I actually don't think I saw this until like 6 years later. Like it was like 2011 or 2012.
Okay.
I think I watched this. I'm fairly confident because in my film class we discussed this regarding like set design and production design.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
And we saw like a clip from it, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. But I remember seeing the trailers, and I never saw it because I was like a junior in high school, maybe or senior, and I just wasn't seeing stuff like this. So then I went home, watched it, rocked my world. I was just like slightly at the time, I was kind of just like left speechless, and really made me ponder and think things through. And then I don't think I saw this again until like maybe 2-3 years ago, give or take. And that time I was just like, oh, this movie is great. And then obviously watched it again this viewing. This movie lines up with how I feel about Jurassic Park as a perfect film. And this is a perfect film. I think I was telling you also, like, this is in the top 10 of movies of this century, right?
Yeah.
And I think it still like merits like being one of the best films of the last 30 years. So I'm excited, and yeah, super excited to talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pumped to be talking about this because there is so many things in this film that just merit absolutely so much discussion. So let's just hop in with the synopsis. If you haven't seen this film, this is what you can kind of expect. Set in a dystopian near future where humanity has been actually like next year.
Yeah, set in 2027.
Yep. Has been infertile and no children have been born for 18 years. Society is collapsing under fear, nationalism, and authoritarian control. Theo, a disillusioned bureaucrat, is recruited to help transport a mysteriously pregnant refugee to safety, a journey that could determine the fate of humanity itself. Boy, look, I think I kind of want to start talking about, like, we need to take it back and look at Cuarón. Alfonso, I think we need to really look at, if this is your first watch or if you haven't watched this, I think I hope that you can listen to this episode, get a sense of the context for this, for the, not only the director, but also the, Emmanuel Lubezki.
Chiba is what they call him, but yeah.
Yeah, Chiba, dude, he's legendary. This cinematographer did Birdman.
Yeah.
Check out that episode for us. He did Gravity, The Revenant. This guy has done some fantastic stuff. But talk to me about Alfonso.
Alfonso has often said that his like debut film has been Y tu mamá también.
Yep.
Even though he had directed previously other 2 or 3 other theatrical releases, he always felt that Y tu mamá también was kind of his big one. I don't know if you've seen A Little Princess or Great Expectations. Those were 2 kind of his big ones that put him in. That gave him his notoriety. But he does Y tu mamá también, where he's exploring this coming of age story. Class division, segregation.
He's a director from Mexico.
It's a road trip story of these 2 young men coming of age, exploring their identity, their sexuality, etc. Have you ever seen Y tu mamá también?
I've only seen a half of it, but it was like the middle half, that little second act. So I haven't seen the whole thing.
Great movie. And anyways, he has that success. He goes over to do Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry Potter, the 3rd one, which continues to be the best one out of that entire franchise.
Agreed.
He levels up that movie with various themes, with his unique style of filmmaking and storytelling.
Yeah.
And then he goes off to do this, Children of Men. It almost feels like he was like washing off his like involvement in like a big franchise.
It does, yeah.
And he decides to do this very niche movie story and puts all his chips in here. The movie comes out in 2006, December, Christmas Day 2006. Okay?
Yes.
It gets nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, Cinematography,
Yes.
and Editing. Wins nothing. Okay, and then the movie just kind of disappears.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the success that it should have had. Critically, people loved it. Box office, it doesn't. And like Alfonso has talked about this, but like it affected him, the lack of success that this movie had, because he has not done something like this since.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like scale. I'm talking big themes. Roma, another story about class division.
Yes. It won a whole bunch of awards.
Yeah, and I think that was probably like, I think Gravity and Roma was probably like the Academy's efforts of being like, dude, we
love you.
We overlooked you with Children of Men.
Yeah,
We're sorry. Here you go. And not that they don't merit, but like, Gravity is no Children of Men.
And even Roma, like both of these, like something he's already done, like in, like you said, the scale. Children of Men is truly an immersive film. It is absolutely so. I cannot. I'm pumped to be talking about cinematography and the editing throughout this film. This is a fantastic. This is one of the other films that I would put in the Real Chums like school syllabus of films that we would be discussing, because there is a lot that goes on in this production. So So he gets. Do you feel like he's gonna? Do you feel like he will ever come back to something like Children of Men?
I don't know. I mean, I know he created, wrote, and directed several of those episodes from Disclaimer on Apple TV. Have you seen that?
I've not watched Disclaimer.
I've heard it's great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he does go back to something like this. Like I would love for him to choose another big thematic story to tell. But I mean, I think he's probably just like, you know what? I don't know. Like,
well, and it's even riskier for studios too. Like,
Yeah.
it's definitely a hard sell for sure.
and he's talked about most recently. He says, I think he's only seen this movie once since its release, and I think it was for like the 15th anniversary a couple years ago. He was doing a couple interviews for it, but like, there is so much that he puts in this movie. And you can see the love and attention that he has as a filmmaker into this movie, that when it's not reciprocated, he almost just kind of like shuns himself.
So, I absolutely man. I mean, you can't not feel like this is a heavy film. There's a lot of themes in here. There's a lot of loss. I think that Clive Owen character, Theo Farron, is that right? I feel like there's a level of like, we are him, and he rolls through life here semi apathetic to the situation. He cares, but also doesn't care enough, but doesn't want to care enough because he wants to be numb.
Yeah.
And I think it's really powerful. I want to say as we get into the story and as we come back into cinematography and editing, this is a perfect example of like Alfonso is one of the writers. He's the director, and he did some of the editing. I don't know if he was necessarily like editing or if he was like directing with Alex Rodriguez in the edit bay or whatever. But 100%, this is one of the another one of a film that writer, director, editor sort of feel that I can feel it, and so it's just great. So let's start with Theo. Like I said, he's in this apathetic character. I absolutely love this intro for Children of Men because it's introducing the fact that this film does. Do you feel like this film does exposition well?
Oh, it does it phenomenal. Look, and what's his face? Alfonso has been on record talking about how much he hates exposition in his movies. In any movie, right? He hates exposition, and he's all about just trusting viewers and audience to pick up
what's important,
and what's not.
Yeah.
Right? And the movie does exposition in very, I mean, the movie starts with like news reports of what's happening in the world. Then we're told about Diego and how the youngest human being has now died, and we haven't had any births since for 18 years, et cetera, et cetera. We get all of that information about the state of the world, the state of Britain, the infertility crisis, and like the distraught of having the youngest person die, all in those like first 3 minutes of the film, right? And then as he walks out, we see exposition through what's happening through the production design.
Yes.
Right.
So this film, what's the budget on this film? I didn't look that up, but the sets. I mean, I think that they used some probably old locations from possibly like abandoned World War II areas or even, I'm not exactly sure, but it is bonkers. They could have probably did some CGI that doesn't look like CGI, but it is truly so immersive because it's like he's in the city of Britain, London? No.
It's in London.
Yeah. And he like, it's dingy, it's definitely run down, but everything kind of still like functioning. And I have like the fact that like he's getting, everyone's like stuck doing this news report. He comes in and he cuts through it because he just wants to get his coffee or whatever it is. And as he comes out, there's a bomb explosion, which is just absolutely tragic. And yet he still goes to work, and everyone's just like enamored on their things. And he's like, I'm just want to go home. Right. He's not fully letting himself feel, but he's also troubled, but also not there. And in that process, we get all these little moments of like, it's you're bad if you don't get your fertility test. And this hope that is being, like used negatively to make you feel bad for, when the world hasn't seen any fertility for 18 years. Right. But also that the quote of, whoever's the last one alive, turn out the lights on the train.
On the graffiti on the
train.
Yeah.
Right.
It's genius. I think his introduction as a character through the bombing, and as he goes to work is so crucial because you said it. Like he's in this state of like just apathy. Like he survives the bombing, but then his excuse to get out of work isn't, I just survived the bombing. Like I'm a little bit shook. Can I go work from home? It's, I'm affected by Diego.
Yes.
I didn't realize it was gonna affect me so much. So like his level of like, it's funny because we're introduced to our protagonist as a liar, like right away, right?
Yeah.
As a liar, as someone who isn't affected by the death of the youngest human being,
or like 25 people,
or the 25 people that were in that coffee shop, right, and isn't affected by surviving a bombing. Rather, he's willing to just like lie about how he's feeling to get out of work and go hang out. And it's so crucial to who he is. He's someone that's a cynic. He has lost hope. He has he's not proactive, right? And we see this is a passive hero. He kind of gets dragged into becoming the hero that he needs to be. His life and his reality, so to speak, his reality is so overwhelming that he just has given up. And I think that's so smart versus a lot of our protagonists that we've, going back to Katniss and others that we're going to be talking about during this dystopian month. But like he has just given up, and he just doesn't care. But as the movie progresses, we see how he is then dragged back into the things that he once was passionate about, and in his protesting, in his activation as an activist. And it's beautiful characterization of this unique protagonist, a protagonist that in an action film never picks up a gun.
Listen, I cannot express, bless you, the fact that we are always on Theo's perspective. Mm-hmm. We never switch perspectives. I think it's such a unique decision. We never really change perspective to anyone else. We're only eavesdropping in connection to Theo.
Yeah.
Okay, so the fact that and so like, that, to some people that might be frustrating because they're like, well, I don't feel like I know exactly what's happening, and why don't you have all this? But we are trying to. Alfonso's taking us on the journey of Theo throughout this film and how he's trying to understand as he is progressing. I think that one of the I think a really powerful perspective of Theo, his character, the thematicness of Theo's journey is when they've brought the woman who's pregnant, Key, to Jasper, right? Played by the
Michael Caine.
Beloved Michael Keaton.
Caine.
And Caine is telling Key about Theo, mm-hmm. and how he met Julian's character, Julian, right? And this, we get it eavesdropping. He's walking back from getting some water, some whatever.
Alcohol, man.
Alcohol. He's always got a little bit of sip on him, right? I mean, honestly,
in this world,
I mean,
I love that they have these ultra filtered cigarettes. And Julian at one point's like, "You're smoking, and it's not working, right? It hasn't killed him yet.
It's the thing." And so, like, we have this perspective of him. He's trying to kill himself a little bit faster than what there, but he continues to be not killed, right? And we get this perspective of who this man was. They met at a protest. They had their opinions. They fell in love. This life, and then losing their child, and having this, and then having a third person externally try to explain who this man is. And yet we see him listening and judging for himself, is that who I am? And knowing that he knows that for him it's not.
This is what's so great about this movie is that the decision to shoot this almost documentarian style.
100%
right?
documentary. Yes.
So to your point, like, we are following Theo the entire time. We never cut to see other people's perspectives or anything. Even like the barn scene, like, as he hears what the fish decide to do, right? Like, through the window, like, we're just following Theo the entire time.
I absolutely love this. This is 100% motivated cinematography.
Yes.
The only reason why we know anything is because Theo made a decision to leave and maybe try to, not leave, but find and hear the fish and go and eavesdrop.
Yeah.
The only time we get information is because Theo has made a decision. That is such motivated cinematography, decision making.
Yep.
It is beautiful.
It's beautiful. Going back to that scene though with Michael Caine, he's in the foreground and they're in the background, right? And we are getting all this information again as he is listening to it and deciding, is this who I am? Is this who I was? Who am I now? Right? And it's wonderful because, again, this decision to film like a documentary in the action moments, as well as in these quiet, small, intimate moments where we're getting some context, some exposition, we are just constantly from his perspective we are getting the information as he is getting it himself.
Yeah.
Which functions so beautifully for a film, because I've always told you, like, I love when we're just sticking here to our character because we are in the journey with him. We're getting the same information that he is getting, and we are now being invited to participate in this movie as to what would I do here and what is our protagonist going to do, right? And so I love that scene because it's shot beautifully. Like, he's in the foreground and everyone's in the background, and he just the choreography for him to then just like kind of step back, continue to look towards the camera, and then just hearing this conversation, and for them to then just cut and leave. I think it's wonderful. I was watching some of the behind the scenes and Alfonso talks a lot about how he and Chiva decided to like really commit to shooting this documentarian style because this is his journey along with Key's and Humanity's, but this is the story of this individual, of Theo finding hope again and realizing how the choices and decisions that we make can bring us hope and purpose again, right? And like that decision to say it's going to be documentarian style because it's immersive, it's engaging, and we're also following this individual's journey to finding hope again. And I just think it's so smart. It's genius.
It's great storytelling. It is 100% this, because it's not just about showing. It's just like in some level, it's like they're showing things in a perspective that is causing us to have to think deeply about the circumstances of, like you said, what would we be doing that same thing? There's a lot of great moments. We'll come back to it in a second. I kind of wanted to talk about Julianne more as Julian. This film is, the pacing has this. I struggled with the pacing just a little bit.
Really?
Only a little bit. It was a busy weekend, and I didn't get to watch it in one sitting. And I think that
Boo.
was
Yeah.
I know, but it was a really busy weekend, and I had to break it up into two. And because I didn't know at what point I wanted to break. I had to like take it back a couple times, but I also wanted to like really soak in this film because I could tell that like this is one like I needed to soak in. But Julian's character is, I think, so interestingly introduced. It's because we're not, he's been abducted, like he's not like freaking out. It's just in broad daylight. And then he is set up in a location, like in a newspaper thing, trying to be interrogated, rough. And then they take off his blindfold, and it's just Julian there, and it's like, hey, what's up, bro? And there's some level of it's an open loop that gets closed so abruptly or so tragically. And it is one that I think is some of the best cinematic storytelling that you can have. This open loop of like how, they have a relationship, and that she needs something from him. And the only reason why that's what it is for. And he's reluctant to do these things, to follow her. But then into the car ride that ends tragically with her getting shot and there. And I have more. I think I want to know for you, do you feel like this introduction for Julian, how does it impact Theo's character?
One thing I want to like make sure that we and our listeners are aware of, like, please rewatch this movie several times. There's so much imagery in this entire movie. I feel like not a single frame, second, nothing is wasted in this movie. And we've talked about this before with other filmmakers, but like this is intentional filmmaking.
Yes, very intentional.
And so like going back to Julian, like she has a little bird tattoo. Okay. And I think there's like imagery in that and symbolism. I think the same with Theo, like almost every other scene that he's in, there's some kind of animal following him, dog, a cat.
Yes.
There's no like he's the one that comes across a deer, right? Like just to show that he is this a person of character, and he's caring and trusting, right? Just as all of these animals tend to just flock to him.
Yeah.
Beautiful imagery from that scene or from that area. Julian has this bird tattoo, and I think she represents kind of like this messenger.
Yes.
To bring him back to having hope. And you can also, every time Julian is kind of introduced or comes into frame, you hear birds in the background.
Yeah, the sound design in this film is absolutely mesmerizing. You need,
it's great, and I think that's the role that Julian plays here. She is the messenger to help bring Theo back into the fold, so to speak, to find purpose, to find hope. It's mentioned that like the human project only communicates through mirrors, right? They tell someone who then tells someone who tells someone, and so on and so forth.
Wait, so you've never talked to anybody?
So Julian is the one that had the connection, right? Again, this messenger type. And I think it's great because, yeah, she has a history, a past with Theo. They shared a child. The child dies. And we see that conflict that she says, I can't even look at you because you have his eyes.
Yeah.
Right? And seeing you, like, just brings so much pain. And I think she represents this hope. And she's such a grounded character. She doesn't die by going off and spewing about her her beliefs and her purpose as a revolutionary.
Right.
No, she's just having this flirty interaction with her ex.
Yeah.
And then is then taken out, right?
Yeah.
And and she gets taken out by being shot right where the tattoo is of the bird.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Right? And so like this messenger archetype of character is then taken out that then puts our character on this path to move forward. It's such unique characterization, especially if you've read the book. I only got halfway through. It's so much different because in the book, Julian is the one that is actually pregnant.
Okay.
And then seeks out the support of Theo. So it's a smart change in the film to do this, to not having her be pregnant and have Key instead be the one that is.
I like that, she is a messenger. She is bringing him, at least giving him the memories of what of a life that was once happy and joyful, right? I think one of the things that I absolutely love is the only time we ever see him cry is after her death.
Well, yes, he cries there, and then he just loses it after Jasper's death.
After Jasper's death, you're right. So, but that she and I but what I really like is that we are only on him, and he's like stepped away to try to like do his composure, just do yet again another loss. So, but he just caves, and he's like alone in the woods, and it's just a beautiful scene. The realization of like true loved ones and their impact on an individual. This is a very different hope than Hunger Games is. It's similar in the fact that like it's a symbol in hope, and I don't know, I think I'm still processing my thoughts, but anyways, Julian, I forget how much that the ping pong scene, I didn't have time, but I wanted to check if I think that's a real gag that they do.
I don't think so. I think that's CGI.
I think I'm like, it was like, it's like torn. I'm like torn on how much of it, where it's a fascinating scene as an editor.
Yeah.
But that whole entire scene is absolutely phenomenal.
Let's talk about the car scene.
This car scene, so here's the thing about the car scenes that I have. Because they made the choice, again, they make it a deliberate choice to only follow Theo's perspective as a documentarian style, right? It's not a documentary necessary per se, but they go a documentary feel. And because of that, they're only in the perspective, always in the vehicle from one area. They don't cut out. It's always through the window of the car and looking around the scenario. So you feel as stressed as they are, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right? The stakes, it's not like the intensity isn't raised because we're cutting and we're getting, like in action film, you might cut to the pursuer and you're cutting on action to like draw energy. There is no energy really except for stress because you're being surrounded. There's like a car rolling down on fire. They have a whole bunch of people running out. Then people on the motorcycles that there's a gun. Like this feeling, the anxiety. If you have, we should preface this. If you're somebody who gets anxious in watching, like, I don't know, just anything that might be there, you cannot watch. You got to take something before you watch this film because it can be very anxiety inducing, triggering perhaps to some individuals. But it's because of that sense of, it's very realistic in the sense of like, this would be kind of what you would happen. Someone would see one item and shouting out what's happening there. And then next thing you know, having a scenario and getting shot and bleeding, there's blood everywhere. What do we need to do? The chaos that ensues. This decision is so important in this storytelling this, because all of it, we're not like cutting to the blood. We're just in this moment experiencing a feel, and then later really feeling it with Julian himself isolated. It is magical. It is very technical. The blocking, like the efforts, this looks like an easy shot.
It's not.
This is absolutely not an easy shot. This is a painstakingly thought out, thorough decision making. How the I don't know how many times I had to do it, but this is stressful film. This is a high caliber. This should have won an award for this cinematography throughout this entire film.
Look, it's fun to see how they design and shot and choreograph this scene. It's you have the vehicle on this massive rig.
Yes.
Okay, you have someone driving the front and the back because then it reverses, right? And then in the rig,
there's another person on top that's driving.
Yeah. Driving the camera, right? And the camera is just at the bottom or just comes down. They built this unique harness that allows them then to turn. They choreographed this, but they're also they were on cue because as the camera would move, they built the seats to be able to fold forward and back that way.
They could move the camera.
They could move the camera.
Yes.
So the actors themselves are not only acting and talking, but they're also controlling, like the camera's coming this way, I lean forward or I fold all the way back or whatever it is. It is a technical masterpiece.
It is.
And we'll talk about the again, this movie's full of wonders. And we'll talk about the battle one at the end. But just filming that and giving the feel of a wonder, right? Because I think when it crashes and the glass shatters, that's where you get the cut.
Yeah.
I think I find it a lot easier to find the cuts in the car scene than I do in the battle scene.
Oh yeah.
Just because of the CGI, but it's interesting to just see the detail of the commitment to film this like this in order to create that sense of panic, of anxiety, because that's what it would be like, right? Again, choosing to shoot this documentarian style and following Theo's perspective allows us to then have that. And to your point, it would have been easy to cut to the fishes, right? To the person who lights the car on fire, and we see it go down the hill, and then we cut back to them. But we don't get that. We're experiencing everything firsthand in the way that Theo does. And it adds to that panic. It adds to the immersiveness of it all. And I just think it's fun filmmaking. It's fun to watch this.
Yes.
As anxiety filled as it is, it's just so fun to watch it as well. And I think it enhances the experience from that perspective. But what I love about that scene, though, is we were introduced to Miriam later, or here.
Yeah.
Key, we still don't know that she's pregnant.
Right.
And Luke, who's behind all of this. But we're getting their reactions all in real time as well.
Yeah.
Which just enhances what we're experiencing here. And like I said, like this is where Julian story comes to an end, but it just thrusts Theo into what's going to happen for the rest of the movie, and his commitment into, do I help? Do I not? I mean, am I here for the money, or am I here to make a difference, or not? Right? It's a wonderful scene. I was watching Alfonso talk about it, and he said, I really wanted this scene, and I even told Chiva, like, if we need to do this with the CGI, with a green screen, I'll compromise and we'll do it with a green screen.
Yeah, but they kill it.
And he's like, and he convinced them, and he's like, no, like, you're not going to get the right lighting through the woods coming in. That just adds an extra element to it all. Yeah. And he said, we'll figure it out. And they did, and it turned out wonderful. You brought up hope, right? We talked about hope in the Hunger Games. Hope versus fear, where President Snow is wanting to control people through fear, right? I think here is like the theme of like hope versus despair. And it's two different approaches of hope.
Yes.
Because I think what Hunger Games is trying to say is that you can fight against the system and take down the system itself.
Yeah.
I don't think Alfonso Cuarón is saying anything about that here.
Absolutely
He is not saying that you can go up against the system and take it down and destroy it and build a new systemic justice or whatever. That is not what he's saying here.
No. And this is the thing that, like, as you kept talking about, I'm like, yes, this is hope for Theo, but it is for one individual person, for his his perspective on his life and maybe take that line of hope or despair.
Yeah. But I think it also is hope for everyone. Everyone that interacts, that sees the baby at the end.
Yes.
They stop fighting for it because of the baby.
They only do it for the moment as they exit.
Sure.
Right? This again, it's like that hope, that fleeting hope of like, oh, there is hope, but also like, well, we're here to do a mission, right? This fleeting moment of what hope can be, and yet it's not like catching fire, right? Or if there is, there's just so many other things that like take over, right? And I don't know, it's just this sense of like how individualness, that line of hope and despair, and that how you can teeter on this edge, and at any moment you can fall into either or. Mm-hmm. And it is both beautiful and so hard to think about.
Especially with this movie, because this movie, through the production design, has created a world where in the not so distant future, right? Like this isn't, and again, Alfonso Cuarón talks about he wanted to make the anti-Blade Runner, right? Blade Runner with the flying cars, with the umbrellas that light up, right? And it's got to be hard as a filmmaker to say, if I can make a dystopian film, I'm going to go
I'm gonna go sci-fi. I'm gonna go
sci-fi hardcore, right? Yeah. Whereas here it's like, no. If people stopped having kids, by the year 2009, and so like let's just kind of keep technology up to like what 2010 would be like, and if we are not as a society, if we are not creating a new generation, then with that comes like the decline of progress, technological progress, financial progress, all aspects of progress, because what are we living for?
Yes.
And I love this idea of that the world has lost hope, that these questions of what are we living for are posed here, to the point where we see how humanity, there's that scene where he's walking by the street and like this building, and people are just kind of throwing their trash out the windows, because what's the point?
Exactly. That's the thing, is like this film, it's like, it's always, what is the point?
Yeah.
Right? And what I think is interesting is that, like, Luke's character and Julian's character are on this mission to move things forward, and the fishes of trying to bring hope. But the reality is that each person has their own motives. Mm-hmm. Luke is upset that what's dreadlock guy ends up
Charlie Hunnam, by the way.
Yeah.
Before he was famous with dreadlocks.
Shoots Julian, and because he's an agitator. He's in it for the agitation, the power per se, right? Mm-hmm. Luke has a motive, and he wants it, but he's willing to sacrifice whoever may be to get there.
Sure.
Right? And the perspective of both his sense of hope and what Theo's given for hope, as he continually trying to discover what that means to him, as he continually trying to make the progress to get her, key to her destination, mm-hmm. right? It's just one that I think I still have to. I think I need to watch this film at least 6 other times to fully process where my feelings are with it. But I don't know.
I think the hope of the impact that an individual can make, right? I think often these dystopian films are, and we'll talk about more, like even next week with V for Vendetta, but like they are so focused on bringing down the tyrannic rule of the government or the fascist institutions in place. Whereas here, very blatantly, Cuarón is saying, I don't think we can. However, an individual can find hope or can be a symbol of hope to make the changes he or she need in order to inspire others, right? I think he's very pessimistic about the present.
Yeah.
However, he has a lot of hope and trust in future generations, right?
Right.
Which is what this whole movie is, right? By bringing in a new, by having a baby be born, it signifies and it symbolizes the hope that a new generation can bring.
Yeah.
Maybe our current generation has just screwed up everything, and we are pessimistic about what's going on now. Our hope is in the future generation.
And I think it's so interesting that they label this unknown entity the Human Project. That the Human Project, that they named this unknown entity that is trying to call the Human Project, and that they're unsure of if it's real or not, right? This world that doesn't feel like they have humanity, that they're willing to throw trash out, they're willing to, perform atrocities, like allow immigrants and put them in internment camps, and roll them up just because they are immigrants. Wonder what's that? What does that sound like? And look and say that they are not human. They don't deserve rights. They don't deserve to be treated equally.
Right.
And yet the mission is to get a new hope, the first birth in 18 years to this project. That is, to be human is to have hope.
Let's kind of shift over to this theme of like immigration and nationalism, right? Because the movie obviously, and Cuarón has been told like, oh, you predicted so much, and then his response has always been like, no, like if you were paying attention, you knew that this is where we were headed to. Like back in 2005 when I was writing this, like, we knew that this was going to happen. This is the path that we were on if you were paying attention, right? And again, going back to what I said earlier, like this movie is filled with so much imagery, right? He's walking down the streets and you have all these immigrants, these refugees, right, that are just in cages.
Literally just on the road as they leaving the train station.
Yes.
And they're you have old women, young individuals, like families that are just like stuck there, not being processed. They're just there.
There. You have the propaganda of the news and the government saying like, it's interesting because as far as we're told, the rest of the world has just kind of like gone to hell. It
is literally like the
great,
Badlands.
Yeah, but Britain stands strong, and we are right. We stand strong, and that's because of our secured borders, right? You are living in this environment where everything is gone to hell, but yet we refuse to help anyone else that doesn't meet the requirements that we have imposed on ourselves. Whatever that may be, and you have this idea of refugees as scapegoats. Everything went to hell because of open borders, because governments were helping refugees, because of all these things, yet we're going to stay secure and safe by isolating them, by putting them in cages, by whatever it may be. And even like the scene when they're going into Bexhill, and they're taking all of these immigrants and just putting them away. Like you have in the background this voiceover of coming in and saying like, we're here to help you, we're here to assist you, and you have like the officers just beating people.
They have bags over their heads.
The image, it's so scary.
It is scary. And you know what's even worse
is that we're living it.
We're living this perspective of nationalism, saying we're not safe unless we don't have these immigrants here. It's because we're only gonna arrest bad hombres. No, that's a freaking lie.
Yeah.
This idea, you don't care that there's this idea. I get stuck so much with individuals that I've said, well, I don't care if they come in as long as they come in the right way. There is no. I'm trying not to really swear here. In their mind, there is no right way. There's no right way for them. And that's the thing. We see it today with, we're not going to hold a swearing in ceremony. We're going to shut that down, and we're going to round everybody who shows up.
Yeah.
Right? That years of trying to do it the right way, do all the little checks and things, and yet they're going to come in, swoop in, say this is for national security, or because you weren't allowed, or you were put up on a blacklist because the president said we don't want that country. We don't want to be friends. Agree with that country anymore.
Right.
It starts in these moments. It starts, Minnesota, L.A., New York, Florida, Texas, even here in Utah. Although in Utah we don't get this level of like, for us it's not about a secure border. It's like, are we a Republican state, or are you a Democrat state, or you are a state that can be flipped every election, right? This is about a level of control. This is about sending a direct message. This is why this film is so visceral.
Yes. And I think this is there's that moment where the fishes are talking and one says, or Theo says, make it public, right?
Yes.
Like, let's make it public. There's a baby that's about to be born after 18 years,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And they bring up a great point of, what do you think is going to happen? Like, there's no way the government is going to allow that an immigrant, black immigrant,
yes,
a refugee, is the first person to have a child
in
18 years. They're going to take her away and give it to some posh black woman in London.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's the root of it. Like, the idea that someone that is different, acts different, looks different, sounds different, can bring and again, the undertones of Christianity in this movie are just a pregnant refugee, coming in to help or to deliver a baby.
Yeah.
Just we could. My Jesus is white, and he would never be like that, right?
Yeah.
But okay. But like, this idea of this woman that is pregnant and wanting to get help and support from the government, and they would 100% be like, nah.
No. They would be like, nah. The fact that, like, we have, you fascist pig as a code word, again, mocking this thing.
Sid.
But Sid, like, he's out for himself.
Yeah.
He will do, and I cannot express to you the level of anxiety I had with the fact that she had her water break and she's in full on labor as a first time. Like,
yeah.
I just had this in my house 6 months ago. It's still very raw in the fact that, like, I can see crowning. Like, I'm like, the fact she's like, I mean, I get it. You, as a first time pregnant woman, you'd be in labor much longer, but still, it is so stressful for me of seeing that thing. But it's such a beautiful, and the thing is, like, but I also know the beautiful miracle of birth, and the fact that there is something so, I think he's like, I forgot how beautiful they are.
Yeah.
It is, these little individual, you will never, ever feel a sense of hope, of love, of purpose than holding a child.
We talked about this in our episode of Marty Supreme, right?
Yes.
Like, what him seeing the baby for the first time meant to him, right? Yeah. This opportunity to be something that you haven't been before, or an opportunity to raise a child without the baggage of who you were before, right? What does this baby represent? Dylan, right? She decides to name Dylan. What does it represent for humanity?
Yeah.
Right? The baggage that humanity has had up to this point, what can it be for this baby moving forward? Too relevant, these themes of immigration and nationalism and using propaganda, because the movie says nothing about how we got to this point, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
nothing.
there's been nuclear fallout and whatever, but like, all the propaganda we get is take your fertility test, or everything sucks because of immigrants, right?
Right.
And if you see something, say something about your immigrants, your dentist, your doctor.
Yes.
They could all be immigrants, and therefore that is not okay.
This is the thing. This is the thing that's wild. This is the thing that you look at this film and what I do not envy Cuarón in this today. can imagine he's put his phone in do not call, disturb, or maybe turned off any sort of, because the amount of commentary that people would want from him, but he's like, no, what do you expect? Like you said, the writing has been on the wall for years.
Yeah.
I think, and what's interesting is we look at this film and we look at our life in real life. And if it weren't for the fact that we do have, that we can still change something, that there is hope, but as a collective group, as people who can say no, that we don't agree with this decision. The wonderful people across the country who are trying to document, who are trying to do underground immigrant railroads, of protecting, bringing them food, bringing that is the thing and what we can do. And I used to joke, I'm like, yeah, I married a white girl, but I can help stop racism one baby at a time.
One baby at a time.
But in today's, it's also like a fear. It's like, well, are you not an immigrant? And it's like this weird double-edged sword that I never thought about could be a possibility. But the thing is that there's always hope. There's hope for change. And I think that what this film is. Key's character is so innocent. She is scared. She's worried, but she has this outlook of knowing that, okay, I've trusted this individual, Julian, who said, I can trust you, Theo. Mm-hmm. And then turns into these moments of just after the baby's born with these older women from Ukraine or
Marika.
Yeah. And her as the mother said, no, we must protect the child at all costs. But this reality that they're just playing and her oh, they love my baby. Mm-hmm. This sense of being able to be disconnected from it, but still have to. She's in the middle and the thick of it. It's so just. There's something about Chubba, I feel like now specifically, sometimes I'm like, what was I thinking having another third after 8 years gap? But the reality is no, it's beautiful to know that oh, we have this new opportunity to show our girls that it's okay that you may not be the full center of attention.
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress. But the wonder for the battle.
Yeah.
I think this is a wonderful place to stop. This whole film is amazing. I don't think there's a single moment I don't love. For the record, Michael Caine's character Jasper is absolutely phenomenal. It's heartbreaking, his story. And I think we could talk a lot more.
As a political cartoonist,
yes.
His wife, a journalist who was
tortured
by MI5,
yes.
leaves her in this catatonic state from the torture.
Yes.
Right?
What's your 2 cents on Jasper?
Michael Caine is wonderful here as Jasper.
His long hair. His long hair. Hippiness.
He took a lot of inspiration. He was told to take inspiration on John Lennon.
Okay.
The glasses, the long hair, right? And whatnot. And so he represents this hippie, so to speak, in a time where all hope is lost and despair. He just is this individual who continues to believe in what he once stood for as a political cartoonist, and has his criticisms of the state of the government and the life that they're in, but continues to just seek hope
and poke fun
and make fun, right? I love the scene where he's telling the joke, right? One, because we learn about him as a character, right?
Yes.
His lightheartedness in this bleak, horrible world. But we're also told a little bit about the situation of the infertility. We get exposition through the joke, right? Because what's his face, Theo gets a little bit like, I don't want to talk politics, blah, blah, blah. And so like we get characterization on both characters. We get exposition of the world. And then we get a fun joke of like, I don't know what's causing this, but this stork is delicious, right? And so it's just great. He's just growing strawberry flavored weed.
Yes. Yeah.
Cough. Anyways, and it's sad that even when he gets taken out by the fishes, like he is just cracking a joke.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like what Theo really breaks down at the death of Jasper.
Yeah.
I think with Julian's death, he's still kind of in shock. But then when Jasper's taken out, he looks back at Miriam and he said, and you know, like, is this worth it? Like,
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Everyone around me is dying. He's still a character that lacks hope.
Yeah.
And he, to the point where he just is like, what are we doing? Is this worth it? Right. And I think Jasper is that emotional anchor for Theo for the movie.
100%. I mean, like Julian, his come back into his life. They're having a moment, but it is, you know, it's the loss of a life that he once knew, but it's not there. Jasper, his life now.
Yeah. He has already lost Julian, right?
Right.
Before.
So like, but this is the loss of someone, the last person that he really loved and cared for and was connected to. The thing that brought him a sense of peace, of like hope, of feeling like there is something more to actually live for. And it is, and you know, really, you know, again, it kind of sets him back as a character, resets himself to, you know, why am I doing this? Why are we continuing to do this, right? And even I think, you know, as we prep into the final wonder of like, you know, the baby's born, it's the morning of.
They're trying to get out to the boat.
They're trying to get out of the boat. Sid's back, and you know he pulls out the gun, is being aggressive, and you know he is this. And as they, you know, there's stuff has happened. There's been a breach. There's fighting, and you know, he is trying to get away from Sid, and he gets injured, right? All of this is, you know, again, he's just like, he's just so, like shell shock is the only one what I can think of, you know, but, the fish return, right? And there's just the last stint of like, what are we trying to do with this baby, right?
Yeah, I think this is the defining moment for Theo, right? I mentioned earlier he's introduced as this passive hero, right? And now he becomes the actionable hero. Not actionable in not action hero with a gun coming in and shooting everyone.
Right.
He's not that. Rather, he is the hero that is seeking to protect Key and the baby, and to get her on the boat and hope that the human project arrives. We see how she's taken away. They are about to take out that couple, or the one guy that gave him the shoes, which we didn't talk about the meaning of the shoe giving. Anyways, and so like he gets taken out, and we just see this tank showing up, right? And he hides. We have the scene when he jumps into the bus, and then like the blood splatters onto the camera lens, which he in real life he called cut because he didn't like it. Alfonso Cuarón calls cut. They can't hear, no one can hear him calling cut, so they just keep going, and he's like, whatever. And then after the scene, Chiva and Clive Owen come up to him. He's like, that was great, that was amazing. Like, no, what are you talking about? I hated it. Like, we got blood on the camera, and they're like, no, that's what makes it so good. And so they convince him to keep it. And so then as he's piecing it together in the editing room, he's like, yeah, this is good. This is good.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. And it's like, again, we are that this scene, this wonder in many other, you know, you go to Extraction, which Emmanuel does go Alex Rodriguez ends up doing the editor for Extraction 2.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was intriguing. But this moment is so visceral because you're just following along. You're like hiding when he's hiding. You're not cutting. You are like, is he gonna get there? Like how many how much is gonna there? You're just so disconnected, and yet like there are many war films that have this same like sequence of like a oneer. This one, this feels so real.
It's real, but it's also not like, what's the word I'm looking at? Like showing off. Like
it's not.
I look at Extraction, for example.
Yeah, yes.
They're doing it there to really show off, and it's great, and it works, right?
100%.
It works. Or even any other David Leitch production, whether it's Fall Guy or Bullet Train, right? Like, it's there to make the action cool, right? Whereas here, it's not that. It's really us, again, going back to this documentarian style of filmmaking, it's really us following this individual in a moment of chaos, panic.
Right.
The movie has established that no one is safe. No character is safe.
Nobody's safe. Yeah.
Right? And so we aren't sure if Key is gone, the baby's gone, if he is going to be taken out. And it's just so incredibly immersive as we follow him from, I counted it, it's from an hour and 23 minutes with 50 seconds to an hour and 31 minutes and 40 seconds. So a good solid 7-8 minutes of this wonderful oneer where we don't cut, we don't get a perspective from anyone else, and we are just, as a camera, constantly behind him, and every now and then we spin around to see his reaction, but we are just following this individual.
And we're experiencing the chaos of all of this, of the refugees being held up and not taking for, they'll do whatever. They don't care how many people are going to die.
Right. We've been told by Sid that he has intel that they're about to bring bombers and just blow up this entire space.
Yeah.
Right. So now we have a deadline, a timeline of we need to get out of here because we're about to be blown up.
And so then they get up and you see Luke, he's fighting and he has this like struggle of like, this baby is beautiful. It is bringing hope. And then
he's reminded that I had a sister.
Yes.
Right? He's told that it's a girl, and he's like, I had a sister.
Yeah.
We're given a little bit of context there, a history of this character. Anyways, go on.
So then, and then as they're leaving, and everyone's beginning to realize that there is a baby, and they're in shock, and they're in awe, and things kind of just like pause.
Yeah.
They take it's a moving pause of the miracle of life, of what it means to see something that you thought was not possible, and to realize that there's something there, and it's a beautiful and powerful moment.
Yeah.
And yet the bombs are still coming. Again, right? And so they get there, and again I don't know. The journey that we get to the boat, and Key tells Theo that I'm gonna name her Dylan because it can be a girl name too.
Yeah.
And it being this
the reveal of him bleeding out breaks me every single time, dude.
Oh, it's so good. I think for me this I was like, am I mad about this? And I'm like,
this is what I love about this movie is that hope can come in different ways, and hope can have an impact even if it's for just the last couple minutes of your life.
Yes. That
hope that inspires change there's a beautiful moment right before Key's going into labor that he washes his hands, okay? But then again, he kneels in front of her and he takes his alcohol and he literally washes himself away or washes himself off the alcohol.
Yeah.
His vice, this thing that has been holding him back to commit to this hopeful child, right? Again, just imagery left and right in this movie, right?
Yeah.
He washes himself off from his vice to welcome this baby into this world, right? And for him at the very end, I remember the first time I was just like, I wanted him to live, to like see what his choices led this baby to, right? And it doesn't have that, but yet this is where this story begins, is through his death. And we don't get it. We, as the audience, are then allowed to choose what this baby represents, what it means for the human project, for the world to have a baby again.
And what tomorrow,
what tomorrow will be, right?
And it is.
I love it. I love it.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful, and that's why, like, despite the anger that I have for the situation that we're in, the juxtaposition of both the hope and despair that I'm constantly flipping back and forth from, that at the end of the day, that I know that there is a bright tomorrow, that tomorrow is a new day, to whatever moment I am at the end of the day, tomorrow I can choose to be the other one.
Yes. And this is where I mean, I can keep talking about this movie for another hour, but this is maybe where I'll finish my part, is my favorite scene. And it wasn't my favorite scene until this last watch. And I don't know if it's my favorite scene because I'm still like conflicting with it.
There's so many processes.
But Theo goes and visits his cousin at the Ark of Arts.
Yes.
Okay? And this program has been put in place to save all art across the world, right? And it's a shame that we weren't able to get some pieces from New York, and when it got bombed, or Italy, whatever it is, right? And just one, like the satire in still collecting art and saving it in a world like this
is
to the point where even Theo says, like, how do you? I wrote it down, but he says something along the lines of, like, what is the point in all of this, right? And his cousin just says, I just don't think about it.
Yeah. No. Oh, this.
Right? And I think this level of apathy.
Oh, yes.
And I think this is. I love it because you have like the pig floating in the background from Pink Floyd.
I know.
Right? What that represented, which in the timeline of this world in 2027, right? That's the 50th anniversary of the Animals album release, and they use that imagery of capitalism destroying our world and the class division, and there he has it up there floating.
Yeah.
Just anyways, imagery again. People, watch this movie on repeat, please. But he says, like, I just don't think about it. He says something along the lines. It's funny how in 100 years, no one is gonna care about any of this stuff. Of this stuff. How do you do it? I just don't think about it. And I think this is where I have conflict, because where we should, as citizens of any country, is we can't fix all the problems in the world.
We cannot.
We won't fix all the problems in the world. And I think too often people say, whether it's immigration, whether it's women's rights, whether it's whatever you want to say, if it doesn't impact me personally,
I don't think about it.
Oh,
yes.
And I think that line just hit me.
It hit me hard.
Because I think I often also, I'm just like, I just can't think about it, because then it consumes me.
This is something that Sadie and I battle. I will bring something up. She's like, I just don't want to think about it. And it, like, eats at my soul. Because if you are not thinking about it, and it's hard, because, like, if you think about it, you will either go to despair or you will try to act for hope.
Yeah.
And it's a very thin little walkway on which you will end up on, which is why it's like the only thing I can ever look at is, like, what, if I am feeling despair today, I can only try to look for hope tomorrow. And it's because, it's so hard, because you look at it and people will be so dismissive of it. They're like, or it could be like, oh, I don't think about it, or I've only thought about it to the level that I care, or think to care.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is, any way you cut it. I mean, you look at the disassociation of this. It is truly this little nugget in the perspective of this film that is is like the root of much of the problems that they face.
And this is the message I think the movie gets to at the end. If I were to kind of encapsulate everything that it's saying, is that when we become apathetic towards the things that are happening around us, and we see how he just doesn't even look at the people in these cages,
yes.
right? At the beginning of the movie, he doesn't even recognize that they're there. He's become so disassociated to what's happening around him.
Yes.
The moment that we become apathetic, disassociated to the challenges around us, that's when we lose our humanity. But the moment that we decide to do something about one thing, and for Theo, it was to just help this girl get to the human project with this baby.
Yes.
Just one thing that he can focus on and change and do something about it. Hope comes into his life. We see, and that's why I love the ending. That's why I do love his character arc, his redemptive arc, and his hero's journey from being this apathetic character that just was disassociated to now, from being a passive hero to now being a proactive hero and doing everything he can in his power, within his limitations, to help someone.
Yeah. Listen, people,
help the one.
You can do one thing today, whether that be, help the one, you call your senator, the one action can move of many people, has huge impacts. By small and simple things, do great things come to pass. Folks, this was a fantastic episode. We really hope you guys enjoyed it. Today's episode of Children Men. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, there's so much more to be had. We do all kinds of things there. So be sure to subscribe there. We want to hear your thoughts. Leave your comments down below. Send us a message on social, whatever it may be. This film has so many things to be talking about.
We can keep talking more about it. So comment.
Yes.
Comment.
Yes. Share your favorite scenes. Share things that you don't understand. We'll try to break it down for you. All that and more. You can connect with me, or you can connect with us through our newsletter at realchums.com/newsletter. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at rubio.tv.
And you can connect with me also on Instagram and Threads at Marstrosity. That's MARZTROSITY. Thanks again for listening, and join us next week as we watch and discuss V for Vendetta. This was a two-way tie between V for Vendetta and Gattaca. I flipped the coin, and V for Vendetta won.
Perfect, because it's been a hot minute since I've watched V for Vendetta, but I've always loved this film.
It's a great one.
All right, see it. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Later.